Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's right, we're swimming with the fishes today as we look at the life, campaigns, and most importantly, the medals of the Godfather's Michael Corleone. Looking at Michael Corleone's ribbon bar from his sister Connie's wedding scene in The Godfather Part 1, Corleone has 2 service or campaign ribbons, 2 gallantry awards, a Purple Heart and a World War II victory medal. 2 of these ribbons also have what's known as battle stars on them. We shall go into each medal. Although Corleone rose to become one of the most feared mob bosses in America, he made his bones in the Marine Corps. Using his medal ribbons and information, I'm going to piece together his military service and speculate on a timeline of his World War II career. The most pro-American of his Sicilian heritage family, Corleone drops out of university after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 to fight for his country and enlist in the Marine Corps. With his university education and father's political connections, Corleone would have been an ideal officer candidate. But it's possible that, like many other educated and successful young men who volunteered in World War II, he initially just wanted to serve in the ranks and do his bit. This likely would have annoyed his father, Vito. During World War II, attending US Marine Corps boot camp would have been some of the most physically demanding military training out there. Trained in hand-to-hand combat and amongst the toughest combat soldiers in the world, there would have been little opportunities for Corleone to engage in traditional family activities such as shaking down fellow recruits for rations or bribing his way through training. Now we get to where Corleone earned his first medal. Number 1. The Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal. After training through the first half of 1942, Corleone then joins the 1st Marine Division, which was poised to attack the Solomon Islands at Guadalcanal in August 1942. The 1st Marine Division will become one of the most decorated and battle-hardened divisions in the war. Japanese military occupation of the Solomon Islands threatened Australia. The Allies aimed to capture the Solomons to use them as bases to support a campaign to neutralise a major Japanese base at Rabaul on New Britain nearby, resulting in eventual Allied victory in February 1943. The campaign involved several land battles, naval engagements, and almost daily aerial battles. The medal itself? The Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal was a United States military award of the Second World War, which was awarded to any member of the US Armed Forces who served in the Asiatic Pacific Theatre from 1941 to 1945. There were 21 and 48 Navy Marine Corps official campaigns of the Pacific Theatre. The medal was first issued as a service ribbon in 1942. The obverse foreground shows 2 soldiers carrying rifles having just disembarked from a landing craft. Just behind them is a palm tree. In the background are a battleship, aircraft carrier, a submarine and an airplane. The top edge is inscribed Asiatic Pacific Campaign. The reverse has a standing eagle on a rock with the United States of America to the right and 1941-45 to the left. The medal has a loose ring suspender and the ribbon is yellow gold that has a white red white stripe near each edge and a white white blue stripe down the centre. Corleone's ribbon shows 2 battle stars. They are also known as service stars or campaign stars, and are miniature bronze or silver stars that are worn on campaign ribbons to denote participation in specific campaigns or periods of service. Each star represents a particular action or campaign phase that a service member participated in. We'll now go on to medal number 2, the European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal. That was a mouthful. To my knowledge, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, but no major US units were involved in either the North African or European theatres during World War II. Therefore, we have to be a bit more creative to understand how Corleone could have earned this medal. So, heading back to Corleone's military timeline, whilst the fight for Guadalcanal was going on, in November 1942 in North Africa, the Allies carried out a successful invasion known as Operation Torch. The next step, once Tunisia was taken, would be the invasion of Sicily anticipated for the next year in 1943. With the fighting ongoing in North Africa, planners would already be looking at conducting intelligence preparation of the future battlefield of Sicily. This would include building a picture of key infrastructure, invasion points, human terrain analysis, and gathering other key information requests. With the Corleone's strong and influential connections to the island, it's likely Corleone was recalled from the Pacific to assist those planners and establish a network of sources to provide information and reconnaissance. However, it would be unusual for a junior enlisted man to be seconded for such influential work. To give him more credibility in this role, we can speculate that perhaps Corleone was given a battlefield commission and sent on some initial officer training courses in the US before deploying as a second lieutenant known as a butter bar to his new theatre of operations in early 1943. The invasion of Sicily, known as Operation Husky, was a major campaign of World War II that took place from July 9th to August 17th, 1943. The main goal was to remove the Axis powers from Sicily, which would open Mediterranean sea lanes for Allied merchant ships and pave the way for an invasion of mainland Italy. Incredibly, the US military did work with the Mafia in what was known as Operation Underworld. The US government sought assistance from the Mafia to help prevent sabotage and gather intelligence with the help of Lucky Luciano, a powerful crime boss. Collaboration between the mob and US government began in 1942 after the US Office of Naval Intelligence, the ONI, suspected that Axis spies and saboteurs were operating along the northeastern seaboard ports. The sinking of the ocean liner SS Normandy in New York Harbor, allegedly by arson, heightened these concerns. The mob began to provide intelligence and assist in preventing any agents committing acts of sabotage. With his officer training complete, Michael Corleone was likely seconded to the ONI to act as a liaison or intelligence officer to these groups, and then, subsequently, get sent to North Africa to help prepare for the invasion of Sicily. With the Corleone family's intimate knowledge of trafficking routes around Sicily using their olive oil business as a front, it is possible that Michael Corleone could have been involved in smuggling arms or weapons to partisan groups or other operatives on the island, as well as using his network of informants providing information on Axis troop displacements as well as photos for imagery analysis. In real life, Luciano and his associates provided valuable intelligence such as maps of the island's harbours, photographs of the coastline, and the names of trusted contacts within the Sicilian Mafia. This information helped the Allied forces plan and execute the invasion more effectively. The Mafia's assistance was part of a broader strategy to leverage local knowledge and connections to undermine the Axis powers. The collaboration was controversial, but played a significant role in the success of the operation. During Operation Husky, the British, who had no Sicilian Mafia connections, suffered heavier casualties than the Americans. Advocates of the collaboration policy state this as an example of its success. England's Peaky Blinders gangsters failed to help out here then. With the invasion a success, Allied forces sought to establish a new local government to fill the vacuum left by the retreating Axis and restore order. At this point, it's likely Corleone then took on a CIMIC or civilian military cooperation role, no doubt ensuring that a few of his most trusted and hand-picked capos would gain positions of influence. Although German Field Marshal Albert Kesselring claimed that he decided to withdraw from Sicily primarily to save his forces and preserve them for better employment on the Italian peninsula, perhaps there was another reason. Could Smiling Albert have been made an offer he couldn't refuse, just like Hollywood movie mogul Jack Waltz? The medal itself? Eisenhower requested that the medal include an invasion scene. On the obverse is an LST landing craft and troops landing under fire with an airplane in the background below the words European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign. Like the Pacific Medal, the reverse has a standing eagle on a rock with the United States of America to the right and 1941-45 to the left. The ribbon consists of stripes representing different theatres that the medal was awarded for, such as Africa, Italy, Germany, and the generic green fields of Europe. Corleone wears one battle star on his service ribbon, representing Italy. Conducting dangerous work, such as piloting smuggling craft, or pumping his network of gangsters' moles for information, could be where Corleone earns his first gallantry award. Medal number 3, the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. The Navy and Marine Corps Medal is the highest non-combat decoration awarded for heroism by the United States Department of the Navy to members of the US Navy and US Marine Corps. The medal was established by an Act of Congress on the 7th of August 1942. For the medal to be awarded, there needs to be a level of life-threatening risk, an example being saving someone from drowning. The medal is octagonal in shape and made of bronze. The obverse depicts an eagle holding a fouled anchor over the globe. The word heroism is inscribed below the globe. The ribbon of the medal is 3 equal stripes of navy blue, old gold, and apple red. The reverse of the Navy and Marine Corps medal is blank, that space being used for inscribing the recipient's name. By the end of 1943, early 1944, Corleone had likely carried out his objectives on the island. and perhaps also assisted preparations for the invasion of the Italian mainland. Perhaps he was thinking he could see out the war in Sicily with this cushy Simic gig. However, just when Corleone thought he was out, the Marines pulled him back in. In the spring of 1944, Corleone, with his tasks complete, is now RTU'd back to the Marine 1st Division in the Pacific, reaching them in late summer, just in time as they were preparing for their next battle, the Crucible of Peleliu, beginning on September the 15th, 1944. US commanders initially boasted that the operation would take 4 days. In fact, the battle lasted for 74 days and was a bloody brawl. US planners saw the Japanese airstrip at Peleliu as a potential threat that could launch airstrikes against General Douglas MacArthur's troops who were currently invading the Philippines. However, there is controversy regarding the battle. It was argued that this battle need not have been fought at all, as the airstrip had been so severely bombed by US forces that it was inoperable. Regardless of that fact, planners still let the operation go ahead, and it would be the Marines and Army that would pay the butcher's bill. Reconnaissance attempts at gathering intelligence on the island had proved hugely difficult, as imagery analysis taken from planes and submarines operating off the coast could not detect Japanese fortifications below the thick jungle. Unknown to the Americans, the Japanese defenders on the island had received good intelligence and knew of the coming attack in mid-September. Receiving construction material in early 1944, the Japanese had had months to prepare and dig tunnels into the limestone coral rocks of the island. Using specialist miners and construction workers from Japan, a network of 500 caves and tunnels was built, with positions that covered one another, creating a deadly kill zone for any invader. For the first time in the war, the Japanese would be using their new deadly strategy of fukaku, or defensiveness in depth, basing most defences underground, waiting for invaders to come at them and try and kill as many as possible through attrition, rather than fighting them at the beaches and engaging in suicidal bonsai attacks. Peleliu would be the first beta test of this strategy, which would later prove so costly to US soldiers at both Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Japanese tactics would be to disrupt the landing at the water's edge initially, and then withdraw and focus on inland defence, grinding down the US forces. To make matters worse for the Americans, the US Navy could only guarantee 2 days of shelling due to a shortage of ammunition, not the 11 days that the US Marines wanted. As a comparison, the invasion of Guam received 14 days of shelling in preparation. Low-lying coral shoals surrounding the island only compounded problems for the amphibious assault, with a shortage of appropriate landing vehicles leading to issues. Disembarking from their ships, Marines would then have to transfer to smaller craft at the reef's edge prior to going onto the beach. The Japanese, knowing this vulnerability at the reef, honed their artillery and mortars on these areas, ready to zero in on any attackers. The Marines would be entering a kill zone. The attack began around 0830 hours on the 15th of September. The assault was spearheaded by Corleone's outfit, the 1st Marine Division, attempting to land 3 regiments abreast on a 2,200-yard beach on the southwest coast of the island. The Marines soon came under intense crossfire. In just 1 hour, the Japanese had destroyed 60 US landing vehicles. The 1st and 7th Marines became bogged down. Only the 5th Battalion made initial progress from the beach. A Japanese counterattack by light tanks at the airfield, which was close to the beach, was decimated by the Marines. By the end of a bloody first day, the Marines held the beach but little else, suffering 200 dead and 900 wounded. A week of intense fighting saw slow progress. It was only now US commanders realised the scale of the Japanese defences and a new strategy that they were employing. One Japanese location, known as the Point at the end of the southern landing beaches, continued to cause heavy Marine casualties from the enfilading fire of Japanese heavy machine guns and the anti-tank artillery across the landing beaches. Something had to be done. A company of Marines from the 3rd Battalion were tasked to assault the position, finally occupying it only after 3 days of fierce hand-to-hand fighting and intense Japanese counterattacks. By the time the Point was taken, only 18 men remained with the company who had suffered 157 casualties in the fight. Maybe it's here that Corleone earned his next gallantry award, the Silver Star. The Silver Star Medal is the US Armed Forces' 3rd highest military decoration for valour in combat. The medal is awarded for singular acts of valour or heroism over a brief period, such as 1 or 2 days of a battle. The medal is a 5-pointed star. The reverse has the inscription for gallantry in action. Below is a blank area suitable for engraving the recipient's name. Second and subsequent awards of the Silver Star are denoted by oak leaf clusters. The ribbon has a wide centre stripe of red, flanked on either side by a wide stripe of dark blue, a wide stripe of white, a thin stripe of white, and a narrow stripe of dark blue at the edges. Returning to the fight, after the point, the Marines then faced fierce resistance from Japanese forces entrenched in the Umabrogal Massif, also known as Bloody Nose Ridge. With snipers picking off stretcher parties and infiltrating American lines at night, Marines continued to take casualties, with the 1st Marine Battalion in the end suffering 70% losses. As an example, they suffered 1,749 men becoming casualties in just 6 days of fighting. Elements of the Army 81st Infantry Division were then sent to support the Marines, landing on the western beaches at the northern end of the island. Marine and Army relations would be strained during this operation. Marine commanders on Peleliu regarded the Army as not aggressive enough and not advancing as fast as the Marines. The Marines claimed this dangerously exposed their flanks. Marine commanders kept refusing assistance from the Army until ordered to. Critics claim this led to unnecessary casualties in the Marines. With the Japanese retreating to their fortifications, the Marines then adopted siege tactics, using bulldozers and flamethrowers against the Japanese positions, advancing from the lighter defended north. This tactic was suggested originally by the Army, but was initially ignored by the Marines' leadership. Eventually, the Army 81st Infantry Division took over operations for the whole island, and over 6 weeks finally cleared the Japanese from remaining positions. The last organised resistance occurred on the 18th of January 1945. Incredibly, around 30 Japanese soldiers and sailors held out in the caves of the island until April 1947 and only surrendered when a Japanese admiral convinced them the war was over. It's likely Corleone was wounded here, receiving his Purple Heart Medal. Medal number 5, the Purple Heart. Made of brass alloy, the Purple Heart is a military decoration awarded in the name of the US President to those wounded or killed while serving. The obverse is a profile of George Washington with Washington's coat of arms above. The reverse is a raised bronze heart and is written "For Military Merit." The ribbon is purple, flanked by 2 thin white stripes. Additional awards of the Purple Heart are denoted by oak leaf clusters. Reportedly unknown to Michael Corleone, his father bribed or threatened medical officials to exaggerate the gravity of his wound so that he would be sent home to the US and then kept for a long period recovering before finally being discharged after VJ Day 1945. Corleone's heroics during the war were featured in Life magazine. He ended the war as a captain, and like other veterans, our brooding mob boss would have received his last medal, the World War II Victory Medal. The World War II Victory Medal was established by an Act of Congress on the 6th of July 1945. The medal was designed by Thomas H. Jones and approved by the Secretary of War on the 5th of February 1946. A medal was not issued, therefore, until after the war had ended. The obverse is a figure of liberation looking to the dawn of a new day, right foot resting on a war god's helmet with the hilt of a broken sword on the right hand and a broken blade in the left hand. Also inscribed is World War II. On the reverse is inscribed freedom from fear and want and freedom of speech and religion, separated by a palm branch, all within a circle composed of the words United States of America, 1941-1945. The ribbon is a central stripe of red flanked by 2 rainbow stripes. Strangely, Corleone also claims to have been decorated with the Navy Cross, although this is not recorded in his ribbon bar. Maybe it was still to be processed, or his Silver Star was later upgraded, or it was just an exaggeration to get sympathy from an investigating congressional committee he was attending. Nevertheless, we can explore the Navy Cross in a later video with a far more deserving character. Therefore, in summary, Corleone has 6 medals: the Silver Star, Navy and Marine Corps Medal, Purple Heart, Pacific Theatre Medal with 2 battle stars, the European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 1 battle star, and finally the World War II Victory Medal. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found some value from this. If you like this, you may also like my videos on One Man Army John Rambo or Suave Agent James Bond.